All right, hey everybody. Let's get started. My name is Jesse Schell. This is my 21st GDC, so finally I can drink here, and I'm looking forward to that, so that's a good thing. The future is really big, and we only have 30 minutes, so let's dive in. I've been doing a lot of virtual reality lately. I've been doing VR for about 20 years or so, and recently we've been doing a lot at Schell Games on a number of different platforms. So VR has been very much on my mind, and so I'm going to make some predictions about where it's going, because it's useful to be able to think about where things are going next. So I'm just going to start in with predictions here. So I'm going to start with predictions about the market. It's an exciting time. VR is finally here, which is so awesome. And the good part is this isn't some fad. This isn't the Kinect or the Super Scope 6 or something like that. It's going to stay. So there's my prediction number one. Starting in 2016, VR headsets will be in the consumer market permanently. They're not going to go away. They're going to be there 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. They're going to be here to stay. You know, they're going to be in Best Buy. Best Buy might go away, but they'll still be here. So, second prediction, how many are we going to sell? Everybody wants to know. So I'm going to say this. By the end of 2017, 8 million gamer headsets will have been sold. I believe this is true. Now, some people say, you're crazy. We're not going to sell that many. Well, here's my logic. So you got the Sony is out there. Sony's got their VR thing coming out. By the end of 2016, they're going to have 40 million PS4s out there. And then there's going to be more than that by 2017. If they can't sell into 10% of that audience, are you kidding me? So 10%, that's 4 million right there. Oculus, those guys have sold 300,000 dev kits. If you can't sell 10 units for every dev kit that you've sold, what are you doing? That's 3 million right there. I don't know what is up with the Vive. It's really cool, but they'll probably sell at least 1 million of them. I don't know. So you add that up, and there's your 8 million right there. Now, I'm making a differentiation between mobile VR and what I call a kind of gamer VR. So let's talk about that. Gamers are going to drive the adoption of VR. Why? Because gamers are bored. It's as if all of us have undergone a great conspiracy to bore gamers to death for the last 5 years, right? And they're ready to spend money on something new. So they're going to be ready to buy cool new stuff. So in the split between gamer VR and the sort of mobile VR, the sort of lower end, I tend to think that we're going to see something like 4 mobile headsets for every gamer headset, sort of roughly. Now, if you think of it that way and you believe that, and some people think it's different, but I think it's about like that. If you believe that, then you start thinking about what's going to happen. What kind of growth are we going to see out of this? I believe we're going to see doubling growth. Headset sales are going to double each year until saturation is reached, which gives you numbers a lot like these. Now, it's important to note that by 2020, we're going to have about 1 billion PC and console gamers in the world and about 4 billion smartphone users. So that's a lot of numbers if you believe that. And technologies that become popular do tend to double this way. So prediction number 5. As VR becomes popular, we're going to see more and more headsets. And in fact, there will be 50 different VR headsets on offer at CES 2017. Count them up and we'll see. So, some people have asked, where's Microsoft in all this? I guess they got that HoloLens thing. That's cool, but it's not a VR thing. And so far, Microsoft's been kind of quiet in the VR space, other than their relationship with Oculus, where the Xbox game controllers are coming in. I think that as soon as Sony sells 10 million headsets, which if you go back a couple, you can kind of figure out where that'll be, then Microsoft is probably going to announce some VR system for Xbox One. I think that's probably going to be around E3 2018, if I had to guess. It's interesting to note that weirdly, Facebook and Microsoft don't compete very much with each other on a lot of fronts, which is, I think, partly why we've been seeing interesting team-ups on on Minecraft and on the Oculus. But somehow there's going to be an announcement about VR systems for Xbox One. So, prediction 7. This one's really weird, and I'm going to have to ask you to bear with me. By 2022, the majority of VR revenue will be spent on portable, self-contained VR systems that are not phones. Wait, what? Okay, it's not going to be PC VR, it's not going to be game console VR, and it's not going to be mobile phone VR. What? What is that? Okay, it's this other thing. The best I can say is imagine if you strapped a DS to your face, and it's like that. Or imagine if the Virtual Boy didn't suck, right? It would be like that. These are going to be devices that are designed for gaming, not phones that are trying to do gaming, designed for gaming, so they're going to be more affordable and more powerful than phones are going to be able to be, but they're not going to be, they're going to be cordless, so you don't have to deal with all that. And the revenue is going to come from that because the gaming is going to drive a lot of the revenue within that time period. No systems like this have been announced, but if I had to guess, I would bet Nintendo was working on one, but that's just a guess. So let's talk about games, because this is a game developer conference. Prediction 8, an asymmetric party game will be a top 10 VR game by the end of 2017. What in the world am I talking about? I'm talking about a game where one person puts on the headset and the other players are still playing, but they're playing with game controllers looking at the TV. This will probably be on Sony VR because Sony is supporting this notion of one person with a headset and other people are looking at the TV at the same time, but it's not, you're not seeing what that guy sees, you're seeing something else on the TV. I think this is going to be a really fun and popular way to play because a problem with VR is that it's isolating, but this now allows for kind of a, hey, pass the headset around sort of party game that I think people are going to really like, particularly in the living room venue. Prediction 9, Madden 2018 will have a VR edition. Because, you know, why wouldn't you do that? I think that's about how the timing is going to work out. In some way, there'll be a VR edition. Prediction 10, by the end of 2018, a new VR-centric game genre will appear. But what is it? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. But that's always how it goes. A new platform shows up, and we initially try and port all the old genres to it, and then new genres emerge that we didn't really have before. And one of those ends up being super dominant. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think we will be seeing it. It will have emerged clearly by 2018. Okay. Games are cool, but we got to talk about fears because there's a lot of fears about VR out in the world. Number 11, by the end of 2017, the media will blame at least one mass shooting on a VR game. And I'm looking at you, Bullet Train, because, man, it's one thing to run around fiddling with your thumbs and like shooting a bunch of virtual dudes on your TV screen. It's a whole nother thing to stand in a room with a handgun in each hand and try and optimize for how you can murder as many people as possible. It's a much more intense feeling, and I think the media is really going to latch onto that. So, I don't know, be ready for that. Prediction 12, by the end of 2017, news stories about VR addiction will be frequent. Because there are going to be people who are really, really into it. Just like we've seen, people are really into a lot of video games, and VR is going to be very immersive, and particularly the social aspects are really going to draw and hold people. So we'll hear stories about that. Here's prediction 13, regarding to fears. By the end of 2018, there will be at least 3 Hollywood movies playing on the fears of VR. Oculus was actually a real movie. That was a real movie, but it wasn't about VR, but it was just a cool poster. But there will be 3 movies all about some horror of VR thing. Because it'll be a fear that people have. It's a weird new technology. Filmmaking. Okay, there's games, but then there's people who want to make movies. Yeah, let's make awesome movies in VR. It's going to be great. Well, what is going to be the dominant kind of VR movie making? It's going to be home movies. By 2025, VR home movies will be our most treasured possessions. It's great to look at a photo of your daughter when she's first learning to walk. It's cool to watch it on a video of it happening, but to actually go back and be in the room when it happened, that is going to be something people are going to want to treasure and hold on to the rest of their lives. Well, that's cool, but I want to make movies. I don't care about this home movie stuff. Okay, that's cool. Documentaries. Documentaries are going to be huge in VR. New York Times already gets this. They gave out 1 million Google Cardboards because they get that the ability to put you in another place, which is a big part of what documentaries are trying to do, is unsurpassed in VR. So the first movies that are going to win major awards are going to be documentaries because they're a slam dunk. I can put you in these places that are really interesting and important and emotionally moving. But I don't want to make documentaries. I want to make entertainment. Okay, well, have you considered this? Pornography is going to be a big thing in VR. Easily, by 2020, it will be $1 billion industry. For two reasons. First, it turns out pornography is not about plot or characters. It is about a feeling of presence. And that feeling of presence is what VR is all about. Secondly, it turns out breasts are three-dimensional. Ew, that's gross. I don't want to do that. Well, you don't want to do that. How about this? Virtual reality shows. Yeah, this is going to make so much money. Because what are those shows? Those are shows about people who are just exciting things happen around these people, and we want to put you in the room with them. Now you'll actually be able to be in the room with them. People are going to be very excited about that. Oh my God, I don't want to work on any of these things. I want to make like great stories and things. Okay, well, if you want to make great stories, you've got some challenges. One of the challenges is just the nature of narrative in VR. Because in VR, you're giving the camera to the participants, and they get to look anywhere they want, which, like, you know this? There is no this anymore. The framing is not a thing anymore. I watch novice directors try and make movies in VR. It's the funniest thing. They keep talking about setting up shots and where they're going to put the lights. I'm like, where are you going to put the lights? You can see the lights. They're right here. Well, where am I going to stand? Dude, I don't know, but not anywhere here because we're making a movie here. You're going to be in the shot. So then you have this whole problem of how do you tell stories? The secret is in the Divine Comedy. Dante knew the answer. When Dante told the story of the Divine Comedy and he goes into the underworld, he doesn't go alone. Virgil is there to guide him. Virgil knows his way all around, and the two of them have a conversation as they walk through hell and get a guided tour. The idea of having another person there with you, it's very powerful in VR. And having that person there with you, to chat with you, to guide you, to point out things, is going to be a dominant mode of storytelling in VR. If you want a glimpse of what this is going to be like, take a look at this movie. Oh my God, my brain just exploded. Like, what is this movie called? Someone help me out. Russian Ark, yes. The Russian Ark. Take a look at this movie. It is a 90-minute movie, not a VR movie, just a traditional movie shot in one take. 90-minute movie, a cast of 350 people shot in one take. How do they do this strange movie? You have a guide who goes with you and talks directly to the camera for big portions of the movie. It's a different kind of storytelling, and it's going to be the dominant mode of storytelling in VR. 19, by the end of 2018, Comcast will have a VR channel. Because why wouldn't they? In response, Fios will have 2. Okay. Prediction 20. Feature films have a problem in VR. We're getting over the problems of motion sickness and all that. We're learning how to do it so that you can spend long periods in VR and be comfortable. But you know what's uncomfortable? Being alone for 90 minutes at a time. Nobody likes to go to the movies alone. You want to have other people with you. How am I going to give you a completely immersive movie where you're looking in every direction and still have your friends there with you and have that not be intrusive? We don't know how to do this yet. Someone is going to be smart and is going to figure it out. How do you have your friends with you when you experience a VR movie? And that'll be important, whoever figures that out. So, speaking of social, let's talk about social stuff, because social stuff is super important. 21, by 2025, the majority of VR revenue will be from social experiences, because that's how it always works. We come out with the single-player thing, and then somebody makes the money off the multiplayer thing. That's how it always has gone in the history of games, and it's going to go this way with VR as well. So, prediction 22. By 2018, one of the top 10 VR games will be a dance game. Because, why? Because we like dancing? Sure we like dancing. Sure we like music. Dancing in VR is totally different. I can see your head motions. I can see your hand motions. I can do reverse IK and give you a whole body, which is now an intensely social experience. It's dancing with other people is about bodies near bodies, and you're going to be able to do it, and it's going to be powerful in a way we haven't seen with dance games before. Number 23, board games. Playing VR and AR board games will be a $100 million business by 2025. I know that sounds crazy. Shouldn't I be doing big adventures and not just moving little pieces on a table? People who play board games, they want to play with their friends, but it's hard to get everybody in the same place. If I can just put on a headset, there they are right across the table from me, and we can manipulate all the pieces in our favorite board games. That's going to be an experience that board gamers are going to love, and it'll be a big business. MMO is back! By the end of 2020, at least one VR MMO will have more than 1 million subscribers. Subscribers? We don't do subscribers. It's all free to play now. Free to play doesn't work well in VR. Free to play interrupts your experience. It's presence breaking. People are going to pay money in order to not have that. They're going to pay subscriptions, partly because the games will be immersive and great, but the most important part will be the social. I will be there shoulder to shoulder with my friends. We will make eye contact. It's the only medium that lets you make eye contact with another person. I can't make eye contact on Skype. I can't make eye contact on FaceTime, but I can make eye contact in VR. We can look into each other's eyes, have a conversation. We can literally do a high five right there in the game. VR MMO is going to be a big deal. Prediction 25, by the end of 2018, there will be a leading VR social platform, and I suspect it won't be one of the old guard. It might be. Obviously, we see Facebook making huge investments in the VR space, but history kind of tells us that when media shifts and new technology arises, new companies rise up and take advantage of it. I don't know who it's going to be, but just if history is any guide, I will think the leader in VR social is going to be somebody else. Number 26, that by 2018, VR emotes will be very popular. Little things that make your character do weird little emotion animations, and they'll have a stupid name. And maybe you'll be the one to come up with it. Congratulations. All right, location-based entertainment. A lot of people are saying, hey, man, this is cool, this home stuff, but the stuff we can do in theme parks and all that, what about that? Well, first, I'll say state fairs. By 2017, every U.S. state fair will have a VR attraction. Why? Because there's going to be a lot of hype. Someone's going to put together their VR RV and drive it into the state fair and charge $5 to try out VR because there's going to be so much hype about it. I don't think it's going to last necessarily because it's going to be preying off a novelty. So what will last in location-based? Well, you've got to remember rule number 1 of location-based entertainment. Right? The baker knows it, the barmaid knows it, the priest and the pimp know it. Rule number 1 of location-based entertainment, you've got to give them something they can't get at home. And to take the commercial consumer VR experiences and just drop them into theme parks doesn't make any sense. I can already get that at home. So what can't I get at home? How about this? VR roller coasters. That sounds crazy. Who would do that? This is a real roller coaster in Germany. So here's my prediction. By 2020, there will be at least 20 VR coasters worldwide. Now, I made this prediction 4 months ago. Let me tell you how fast the world is moving. Do you know how many VR coasters there are in the world right now? 24. So here you go. By 2016, there will be at least 20 VR coasters worldwide. And that's not a prediction because it's already happened. You can go to one at any Six Flags. Okay, there you go. All right. So now coasters, that's cool, but what else will there be? Is there going to be cool stuff where I run around in buildings? You look at this stuff like The Void. That's totally a thing. People are making systems that are going to track you as you move around wide areas, and you can actually touch physical props. It's going to be a powerful experience. The challenge is the business model. If you're thinking about a business model like this at all, I urge you, go look at bowling alleys. Bowling alleys are location-based entertainment that has managed to survive the test of time. If your system can make the same profit per square foot as a bowling alley, you're doing it right. If you're not making that much, you better look carefully at what you're doing. So bowling alleys are the key to successful LBE. Use that as your economic kind of guidestone. And speaking of bowling alleys, by 2025, bowling with augmented reality glasses will totally be a thing. Real bowling ball, real pins, real bowling alley, but a bunch of virtual crap dancing around there. I don't know what you're knocking down dragons. I'm not sure what's happening. Speaking of augmented reality, let's speak about augmented reality. This is going to be an unpopular prediction. By 2025, I believe the augmented reality market will be dominated by video AR systems, similar to things like the VR Vana Totem and the Google Tango. Now, what am I talking about? There's a lot of talk about systems that involve pass-through, where I'm looking straight through at the real world and we overlay some amount of virtual stuff over that. Those are really cool, but they have a lot of challenges. There's a lot of expense to be figured out. It's hard to make them wide field of view. If you look at things like the Totem and the Tango, you're looking at a video of the real world that's happening in real time, and the advantage that it has is it's way cheaper, and you can fill the whole field of view with virtual objects as much as you care to. And people who make VR headsets are going to figure this out, and we're going to see these blended VR/AR headsets that use video, not pass-through. I'm not saying pass-through is bad. Pass-through is really, really cool. But it has a lot of technical challenges, and it's going to be more expensive to develop, and so it's going to have a place, although I don't totally understand how all that's going to play out. Number 31, AR experiences synced with your television are totally going to be a thing. You're going to put on your glasses, you're going to see a show on TV, and stuff's going to start to come out of the TV screen, so that you can be in the same room with other people who don't have that on. You're watching the show, but you get to see extra stuff. Probably it's mostly commercials, but I don't know. Augmented reality lectures are going to be really popular by 2025. Teacher wears a headset, students are wearing a headset, and now the teacher can talk about these virtual objects, hand them around the room, and it's going to be a very, very powerful way to teach. It's going to start in colleges because they're going to be able to afford it, and also colleges are in a place where there's going to be incredible competition because their prices have been going up so high. People are going to stop going to colleges. They're going to need ways to compete, so they're going to want cool, crazy stuff like that, so they'll do that. By 2025, I also believe chasing phantoms around your house will mainly be a thing for children. A lot of people are excited about that. I want to chase zombies around my own home. Personally, I think the novelty of that's going to wear off fairly quickly, and I don't think that's going to be a popular, long-lasting genre of entertainment, chasing monsters around your own home, except that kids will love it. It will be a children's medium, not an adult's medium. So technology stuff, because there's a lot of technology stuff. Glasses. Right now, wide glasses are very fashionable, and they don't fit in VR headsets very well. As VR becomes popular with hardcore gamers, the fashion is going to move towards smaller glasses so that they fit in there better. Steven Spielberg was way ahead of his time. Related, people who are really hardcore are going to get custom-made prescription lenses that they screw into their VR headset so that it'll match their prescription perfectly so they can have a really great VR experience. Eye tracking. By 2018, eye tracking VR headsets are going to be available. The technology is very, very nearly here. You'll probably see some of it out on the show floor right now. And that's cool, partly for interface, very much for social. I can actually see where people's eyes are actually moving when I'm seeing other people in the world. But then beyond that, for foveated rendering, the ability to only have to render where the eye is actually looking. There's a lot of challenges with foveated rendering, but by 2020, it's going to exist, and by 2025, it's going to be really useful. And I think one of the things that's going to help make possible are the elimination of corded VR systems. By reducing the bandwidth with foveated rendering, you're going to be able to do wireless HDMI. You're not going to need corded VR systems. And I think largely by 2025, we won't have them in the marketplace. I'm sure they'll be in research labs or something, but I don't think that will be normal at all. All right, finally, I want to talk about some things involving touch, because we haven't talked about touch too much. People aren't talking about it much now, but it is coming. So touch is important. Look at this video and think about it for a minute. We get some audio from audio people? Nobody taught this frog how to play this game. There was no tutorial. He just knows how to play because touch is incredibly primal. It's funny every time. Anyway, touch, it's part of the reason smartphones got so popular is this touch interface. It's so natural. A 2-year-old can do it. A freaking frog can do it. Because we've been touching things on planet Earth for 200 million years. That's how old touch is. That's how old it is in your brain. We want to touch stuff in VR. So how is that going to happen? We've already seen in the video game world, touchable things move product. Skylanders like sold so many units because finally I could actually like take my video game characters, hold them in my hands, and like actually have them be in the real world. I could reach out and touch my characters for the first time. And so they made a lot of money with that. We're going to see the same thing in VR. People are going to want to touch the objects that they hold and the things that are in the world. So first, we're going to see a lot of low-end touch stuff. In short, by 2020, trackable props for VR and AR are going to be common. Partly because it's just a cool thing to do, but partly because it's a good business model. People don't always want to pay for software, but they'll always pay for some piece of plastic junk that like makes sense. Look at Guitar Hero. That's why it worked, right? You could have done it with a game controller, but holding that plastic guitar is cool and actually touching it. It wouldn't be cooler if the plastic guitar wasn't there. This is going to be a good business model. A lot of people are going to do it, and it's going to add to the VR experience quite a bit. So finally, I'm going to talk about robots. All right, robots. Why? Okay, people think that when robots come into our homes, it's going to be to help us do chores. I think that's mostly not true. There'll be some of that. But I think we're going to see robots first come into the home for a very different reason. They're going to come in to play patty cake with us. Why would I play patty cake with a robot? Look at this video. The audio folks, help me out here.
When it detects hitting my sword like this, it will recoil and move to the beginning of the next attack motion.
Okay, so now imagine that. Now that looks kind of weird. That doesn't look like anything I know from a game. But that's cool because I'm not going to look at that. I'm looking at something virtual. So here, imagine that it's a little bit in the future. You've got your cool VR rig. You've got your headset. You've got some, I don't know, all kinds of crazy virtual treadmills and things you've got. And you go into the dungeon, and let's see, I got to find the door. Where's the door in the dungeon? Well, you've got someone to help you out here. It's your friendly VR robot. Doesn't he look friendly? He's here to help you out. And he's got a bunch of arms and stuff, and he's got a lot of props at the ready. So he knows exactly where your hands are, exactly where your head is. He knows exactly where everything is in the world. So he brings up an actual brick texture. I don't mean like a digital texture. No, seriously, bricks, like brick face. And he's going to bring it up, and you're going to be able to reach out. Oh, here's the wall. But what about when I reach over here? He just moves it because he knows where your hand is going and he knows where it's going to go. So he moves that around. Aha, I found the door. And he brings up the wooden texture and I knock on the door and I actually knock on it, right? And then the door opens and what do we see inside? On a table, there's a battle axe and it's actually there on the table and I can go over and I pick it up with my hands because he hands it to me. Now I'm holding the physical battle axe and I better because guess who's coming? The fire-breathing dragon, right? This is totally going to be a thing. And so just to put it more succinctly, by 2025, robots will touch you in VR and you'll like it. Thanks very much. We've got like 2 minutes left, maybe for 1 or 2 questions. If anybody's got questions, yes, please.
Hi, yeah. I'm from a virtual reality company. We make data gloves.
Data gloves.
Hand-tracked gloves. Can you say anything about the future of hand tracking for us? Yeah,
I think hand tracking is like the touch presence. I mean, the hand presence in Worlds is so important. Exactly what's going to be most important is an interesting question. I'll tell you, for my money, the thing that people keep forgetting, and I don't know about your product, people keep wanting to track my finger joints. Well, that's fine. It's fine to track my finger joints. What I really care about is when my fingers touch each other. The best gloves I ever used were the Smart Scene gloves from 1996, if people remember those. Anybody? No, okay. Anyway, they had little metal connectors at the end of each one, and you could know exactly when you were picking things up. It couldn't track your fingers at all. But it could track exactly when you pick things up. So, and again, that's a kind of touch when I get that tactile. So I think gloves that kind of really facilitate touch, personally, is my guess, are the ones that are going to have the most power for people.
Thank you.
Another question.
Hi, I'm from Sony PlayStation, and I have a question about the benefits or the what do you feel will be the range of in-game commerce with virtual reality?
Ooh, in-game commerce
Yeah.
is a really hard question because microtransactions interrupt your gameplay in a weird way. We're going to have to invent new ways for you to take out your virtual credit card or something while you're in there. And like, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of like, no, seriously, I need to do this like
Pull up your menu, press your play.
Right. Right. So people are going to solve that. I think there's going to be a place for that. My guess is my personal estimation is that within the next 4 to 5 years, the majority of revenue is going to come from premium experiences in VR, not from microtransaction experiences. But I do think microtransaction experiences will have their place. In the long run, though, I couldn't say.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think we take one more, and then I think we need to clear the room out.
Hi. Smartphones are kind of blamed in our society for a lot of social trends, the obsessive quantification of everything in our lives, the destruction of boredom, quiet, spontaneity, disconnection from reality, all of these things.
Are you going to end on this? Keep going.
Yes, that's almost the end. What social trends would you say people are going to blame on VR in 2025 or 2030?
Oh, yeah, wow. So there's going to be a number of social trends that are going to be blamed on this. Wow. Certainly the notion of the violent games are going to be so much more violent. So there's going to be an enhancement of that. The immersive games are really going to get people isolated. It's like if you're really into this and you do it all the time, it's going to cut you off from your family. That's just how it is. You're not even there looking at them. And so people are going to be concerned and they're going to be upset about that. I think the main things are going to be sort of, isolation and some of the violence issues. And I bet there's other stuff, but we just don't know what it is yet. And I hate to say it, but we're ending on that. But thanks very much, everybody. Have a great GDC.